Hi there, Karen here with you today again. And today I'm doing some more photos from my daughter and her boyfriend's trip around Asia. These photos are from a visit that they did in Laos on their way to Vietnam, but they spent a couple of weeks in Laos. And I've got this backing paper, which is really old. It says explore and discover and a variety. So it's a travel page in a beautiful limey green colour. And I decided to do a woven, a sort of a woven mat for the photos. I saw a friend of mine do it when we were on a retreat a couple of months ago, and I love the effect. So I'm just picking out a whole load of papers that coordinate in a variety of shades of green, a few bits of blue. Various colours in there, but they all harmonise quite nicely when you put them all together. And I've cut them into a load of strips, so they're all my pile of papers that I've been going through. And now I'm just going to start to layer up the strips into a pattern of to a woven pattern, as you can see. So just going across and then down, and each time interlinking each of the strips into each other as I go along. So I'm not sticking anything. I will stick the endy bits right at the end, but at this stage it's just a case of going across and then down and weaving them along. Sometimes I get out of sync with myself and do two downs or two acrosses, but I managed to keep pretty much to the pattern that I've set for myself. And I really enjoyed enjoyed the process. I thought it's really effective. So I thought that would make a nice change. I have done something similar before, but only with a single photograph, just done a small mat for a photograph. But this is the first time I've done a whole page with this mat, this woven effect. And I think I might do it again. I really enjoyed it, and I think it's quite an effective effect. No, that doesn't make sense, but you know what I mean. I think it looks quite good anyway, and it's quite fun to do. You just have to keep on top of where you're going, weaving in and out to make sure that you don't end up with two outs and one in, or if you see what I mean. So it works quite well. I enjoyed it. Just counting there to see if I've done too many downs, and I decided I had. Anyway, there we are. That's the finished item. But it did cover up some of the parts of the page that I want to show, some of the parts on the backing page that around the sort of travel pictures that had on it, where it says Explorer along one side and Ready to Go and a compass along the bottom. So I'm going to cut out pieces, cut it around those bits on the backing paper that I wanted to show. See what I mean? I'm just going to, and actually it makes it a bit more interesting than just one big square. I'm just trimming it off so that it actually shows the bits in the background that I want to show. I wanted the word explore still to be visible, and I wanted the Ready to Go and the compass to still be visible. There was a few other bits that got hidden in the background, but they're the bits I thought were important that I still wanted to be displayed, and I think it makes it more interesting. And I'm just trimming off the excess here, so it tidies it up. And I am just on the little bits that's sticking out. I do just put some bits of glue here and there, just so that they stick down. Here we go. I'm just sticking a few bits of glue along the ends to make sure they don't stick up, because when they're not attached, they do stick up a little bit at the end. And I just wanted to tidy it up all the way round. So I'm just trimming off along the top, and I will trim off also along the left-hand side. Just makes it that bit neater and helps it to fit into that space that I want it to fit into more tidily. Right, there we are. So trimmed off, and it shows, so it's revealing the Explore on the right and the bits I wanted to show down at the bottom. And again, I'm just sticking a few of those little bits down. There we are. So I'm happy with that. I like the colours. I think that works really well, particularly with all the photos. If you see, there's quite a lot of blue, quite a lot of green, and some bits of brown in the photo. So I think the background really goes quite well with those. Now I've already backed the whole sheet because it's quite a thin piece of paper. It was very old and quite thin, and so I backed it onto some cardstock. I haven't shown you me doing that. And then I created this tag, as I've done on a couple of other of my layouts. I wanted to make a tag that could be hidden behind the woven mat there, for my daughter to journal on if she wanted to. She has actually, since I started doing this layout, come home and really loves it. Loves this layout. It's one of their favourites apparently, and has done some journaling, which you'll see in a moment for me, and has also journaled on the other tags that I'd created on the earlier layouts that I did. So I just picked out a few little pieces of little die cuts from this pack. This is the ephemera pack from Pinkfresh Studios Escape the Ordinary collection. It was one that was in one of, I think it was a 2017 hip kit, and I still had a few little bits left, so I thought I'd just decorate the front of the tag with a few little bits. And that piece on there actually says, "Never let your mind tell your heart not to wander," which seemed quite appropriate. So I thought I'd just pop that on the front of the tag, so it just decorates it a little bit. And she has since written on it. Now I wanted to pop the woven mat piece up onto some foam, but when I just put the foam behind it, where it's all woven, there's little tiny holes. You can probably see there's little tiny holes. So with the yellow, it was all showing through. So my solution was to cut it into strips, so I could just do the strips just down, vertical strips all the way down the layout, and also it actually acts as a guide for the tag. So you can see I've just done the strips going down, and then where they didn't quite reach, I'm just going to do a couple going across as well, one underneath the tag to stop it going down and disappearing completely, so it acts as a stopper. But that way you don't actually then see the foam, which you did before. When I just put it behind it, you could see all the yellow poking through, which I didn't want at all. And as you can see, you can't see the yellow at all, but it is all just popped up nicely on that bit of fun foam. And then that's just checking that the tag will just slide nicely behind the raised mat there. You can see I've just left a little space, so I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to stick that down in place. There we are. I really love how this looks. I think it's just quite interesting and a bit different. It doesn't need an awful lot of decoration as well, because I think that just makes it interesting enough. So now I'm just going to back the photos. I've chosen this piece of wood grain paper because I think it goes quite well with the photos and against the background, and it just gives them a little pop away from all the greens. Although I do actually use green for one of the photos, you'll see in a moment. 3 of them, the brown wood grain works, but this one has got so much brown in it, it just disappeared against the brown. So I decided to back that on some dark green paper. All of the paper I'm using for this layer, all the paper I used for the weaving, that's all from my stash. It's all old stuff that I've been wanting to use for ages. Some of it's really old, and I'm really trying to use up some of my stash at the moment. And in the meantime, the hip kits are arriving, and I'm not even breaking into them, but I'll get to them eventually. So I'm happy with the way they sit on the page. Oh yeah, just showing you there. Look, Hannah's actually written already on the tag all about their experiences. They went on a jungle trek, and they stayed in a village, a native village. I'm just going through this box of labels. I was really pleased with this. I actually stopped in the middle of doing this layout and rearranged all my ephemera just in order to put all the labels in one box, because I could never find a label, and I thought the way I had them arranged before, I had everything arranged by colour, which is what I've seen a lot of people do. But it just wasn't working for me. I was never reaching for them. I never found what I wanted. So I stopped mid-layer and rearranged all my ephemera by type or by theme. So I've got all the labels together in one box. I was really pleased with that. I was able to go through, rifle through, and find some labels that went well with the colour scheme. And this one just says date on it. And so I've written the date that, having checked with Hannah, I've written the date that they went on this. It was an overnight homestay, so it was a couple of days. And yeah, really pleased with the new arrangement of my ephemera. Hopefully it'll work out. I've got a box of hearts and butterflies and got everything together instead of by colour, and I think that's just worked. Sometimes that's how it works. well, doing it by colour works for some people, but it just wasn't working for me. So here's another little label for one of the photos, and it just says Jungle Lunch because they had a lunch on their way. And this is the photo where they actually stopped for their lunch mid-jungle. Well, it doesn't look very jungly there, but apparently that's where they were, and it was really, really delicious. And I'm just going to write yet another label in a moment, I believe. Yep, chosen this one. And this is where they met an old gentleman who was 103 years old, and that's the photo there that they met a very 103-year-old man. I'm popping that one on there. And my final little bit of journaling, just saying that this was on the hike, and this is just giving the name of the girl. Although I didn't know it then. I've since added it because I couldn't remember the name, but I have added it since. Now I'm trying to work on my title. I started off with these. I really wanted to use these thickers because I really liked them and I thought they worked really well, but I didn't have enough A's. So then I got this set out and I looked at it and I thought, no, I need an N, and there wasn't any N's. So I finally settled on this set of thickers. These are chipboard, just plain black, and I really wanted something a little bit more interesting, but I just couldn't find the right one, so I used these. And it's a very short title, but I needed 2 A's and an N, and it just wasn't. They just weren't there in the other 2 sets. So there it is, Numha, and then I've got on this label here. I'm just doing with some little tile stickers, these little tile stickers, and I'm just going to write National Park because that's where they were. They were although it was in the jungle, it was a national park, and it was a guided trip. They weren't sort of just setting off in the jungle by themselves. So this is where they were, was in Numha National Park. And I've just put that title there, and I'm just going to stick those down in that space in the middle of the page. There we are. Now I'm just going to, I've written all my little labels, and now I'm just going to stick them all down. Now I've got another little box here. This is now my travel box. This one is a box that all the travel, picked out all my travel-y things and put that in one box so that anything to do with holidays, travel, journeys, all together. It's so much better. Just went through to see if I could find any little pieces that would work on this page. I didn't really want too much, but I just thought a few little bits here and there would just make it, just give it some finishing touches. So I picked out a few little word labels, one that just says explore, though I don't think I used that one in the end. So I'm just going through the whole lot, and then I've got some puffy stickers here. This is from the Pink Paisley Outfitters collection, and I like that. It's like sort of a shield shape, and it says adventure with me, so I'll put that there on the right. And this one just says go take a hike, because that's what they're doing, they're hiking, so I put that on there on the left. And then I've got a couple of other little pieces. That little word, it's got a bit of green glitter on it, and it just says discoveries. And I've got it's like a piece of tree cut through, a couple of die cuts that look like a slice of tree, and I just thought that would go quite nicely behind that green shield, because it just lifts it away from the green of the background. And a couple of other little pieces to be added down at the bottom, and it's nearly done. I really enjoyed doing this layout. It was great fun, and it's got a thumbs up approval from both Hannah and George. In fact, George said it was his favourite so far, so you can't say better than that. So I'm really pleased with how this one turned out. So thank you very much for joining me. Please do like and subscribe, and join me again soon for more of Hannah and George's adventures. Bye bye.